Today we'll review Attitude is Everything, Chapter 4. Chapter 4 is Change Your Bad Attitude for a Good One. Change your bad attitude for a good one. So that means you're able to choose your good attitude. So this chapter was really great. There's a lot of great sentences and a lot of sometimes a lot of times they take one quote, but there are so many great paragraphs in this chapter, so I will read those as well when I will go through them. But let's get started and really look into the most important ideas that I think that every single person is supposed to take from this chapter. So it's amazing how easy it is to tune up a bad attitude by making a slight adjustment in perspective. It's very interesting. So that means that when you have a bad attitude, sometimes just small inches, small adjustments, small shifts of your perspective about certain idea, certain problem could really make that attitude disappear. So that's sometimes that we don't need to look for massive something to change. Sometimes we just, okay, let's shift just a little bit our perspective about this problem, and maybe that will help to really have a better attitude on the topic. If you don't take control of your attitude and negative emotions and find a way to ease the intensity, they can cause serious mental, physical, and spiritual deterioration. That means that the bad attitude could influence your mental, physical, and spiritual life. And thus we need to be very, very careful with our attitudes. Because if we allow that negativity to foster in our mind, because our mind is a garden, is a beautiful garden, a beautiful green garden. And that means we need to cut all the bad things in. And we have only beautiful flowers in our mind, beautiful thoughts and ideas. And bad negative is really making it, it's really making our beautiful garden terrible. So of course, if we not taking care of the bad plans, it could deteriorate multiple areas of our lives. A psychologist at Case Western Reserve University surveyed more than 400 men and women, asking them what they did to control their attitudes. Nearly all of those surveyed said that they were basically at the mercy of their moods. At the mercy of their moods. So 400 men and women said that they are at the mercy of their moods. It's so sad because when you think about really successful people, what they say that what is the most important thing in life is emotional regulation, impulse regulation. So that means that when you are at mercy of your moods, that means that when something will be very, very important to you, and something will need to get done, but you are swayed by your mood, will not be able to do that. So good attitude allows you to control your moods in the best possible way. So you're able to take action. You're able to move forward in your life. So number one thing is that when you think about great attitude is really being able to control your moods. It's interesting that he shared change your attitude with the change of in perspective. And he shared a story that a father was really tired of cleaning behind his kids because they always used to live with toys when he used to come back with a car, and he used to need to clean the road before he's able to drive back into his garage. So, and he was really, really, really angry at that. And then his neighbor came in, who really his daughter just got married, and he never come back. So he said, "You are lucky that your kids are still here. My daughter is just married, and she is living elsewhere." So just perspective that he said that you're supposed to be happy that your kids are with you. So now he was able to see that moment that their kids leaving the toys was an example and showing that he still have his kids with them and they are growing. And I think that this is very, very powerful. That means that he substituted gratitude for anger and changed his attitude for good. So that means that when really able, somebody should be able to change anger. Because he was angry for the kids that he had not able to clean. Now he was grateful that he has the kids who are still young, who are growing, who is able to spend time with them. And anger just dissipated. It changed everything. So that means that we're able to change attitude for good when you're able to have that change in perspective. What is the meaning of this? The bill's value depends on your point of view. So that means that when you think about $100 bills, now, of course, a millionaire and the person who lives paycheck to paycheck will have different value of the $100 bill. But again, this is your station, and your how you see the money, how you see the value of the money will dictate how valuable it is. So that means that when we think about any kind of situation in life, is exactly the same thing. So when you decide what kind of value you will put on that station, on that problem, for one person, the same station will be no value at all. For you, potentially, could be massive value. Or the same with the problem. You could say for other persons, like this is not a problem, or for you could be a massive problem. So you be very careful where you allocate the value of the things. So it is a matter of perception. It's up to you to assign a value of meaning to it based on the point of view you decide to take. So powerful that you decide on the point of view that you will take. And when you decide, that means your actions will be dictated by that. There are benefits to be found in almost anything that happens to you. Sometimes they are not always obvious right away, but if you take a long-term perspective and understand that what is happening right now is only a temporary thing, you will be less likely to become embittered or to form a negative attitude because of things that happen to you. They're so powerful. So that means that what is the most important part is in here is that when you take a long-term perspective, so that means you're going through short-term problems. So don't make short-term problems a lifelong thing. So when you have a long-term perspective, a vision that you have for yourself, that means that short-term circumstances, a short-term bump, not supposed to influence your attitude, because your attitude is supposed to be based on long-term vision, who you want to become, rather than a short-term bump, a temporary thing. And of course, we're not supposed to allow short-term, because of course, it sometimes seems that we were not able to overcome that short-term problem. It seems so big. So of course, when we have that long-term perspective, we're able to reduce that problem to actually small size as it's supposed to be, rather than massive disappointment. It's interesting that he mentioned that I was quiet, but my inner conversation wasn't. This is very, very powerful. So when we think about attitude, sometimes we do not communicate what we feel, what kind of attitude we have, and we are quiet. But our inner world, our inner conversation could be so loud. So we need to be very, very careful what we communicate with ourselves. He shared after the 3 P's that cause bad attitudes. So those there are 3 points to remember when faced with major challenge. So remember that the challenge is not, so there's 3 things that is not permanent. So challenge is not permanent. So it's not going to last forever. So any kind of challenges that you're going through, it will not last forever. So knowing that there's a light at the tunnel end, it always helps you to understand that, okay, let's move it through, let's get to another end. Number 2 is challenge is not pervasive. So it's not going to destroy your entire life. So it might be that you failed in job, you failed in business, you failed in some kind of area, but that will not impact every single area of your life. So it means if you have a loving wife or loving kids, that means losing a job will not influence their love. They have unconditional love to you. So that means you're supposed to be grateful about the things that you have, rather than just focusing on saying that now all my life is bad because of that one thing that happened to you. And number 3 is personal. So the challenge is not personal. Every single person has some challenges. So you're not the only one that happens to. So people ask, like, why me? Why me? They think that this problem, this challenge, just for them. No, every single person has a challenge that they're going through. So when you have that understanding, of course, it's much, much easier to really overcome those challenges, because you're one of the many of the special unique people who are going through challenges. So rise to the challenges and develop the skills necessary to survive and thrive. So that means that if you're going for something, so okay, let's figure out what we're able to do now, and be able to develop the skill sets to really skills is necessary to really survive at the beginning, and then of course move to thriving. The next one is understand that life is going to hand you challenges. It may even seem to knock you down to the ground sometimes. You don't have much choice in that, but you do have control over how you respond. You must have faith that you will overcome. There's a very powerful paragraph that and it is probably every single person knows that every single person will have something that knocks them down. This is a very, very important lesson that every single person needs to know. That everyone is going through things. I think that through maturity, through experience, when you really connect with people and you really understand and trying to really see their life, you start to see that every single person is going through stuff. And the difference is just how they respond to that. And I hope that you will respond in a positive light, because it's a challenge, but we need to work towards a more positive way of looking at things. The next one is their adjustment did not occur overnight. True wisdom rarely comes in the lightning bolts. So when you think about really gratitude and forgiveness, the antidote to negative attitude, that means that a lot of times we need to think about, okay, I need to change my attitude and I need to change my perspective. But again, this says that your adjustment will not be overnight. So you're supposed to understand that when you build your new attitude, your new perspective, it will take time. It will take really time. If you had a bad attitude for 20 years, don't expect that you will change that by reading one book. No book is built, but the book build a foundation. It will start a foundation, a blueprint, and after that you still need to work. So that means a blueprint of a massive harvest is just before work. So now when you know exactly what you need to do, you're able to really start working to build your attitude based on that blueprint. So this book, I think that is a really great blueprint, but still we need to take a lot of action to really get the attitude you want. And it will not happen overnight. The next one is quite long, and I think there's a lot of great things. So when your cell phone battery loses power, you plug it back into the power source, don't you? Why is that? Why is it? Why is it when your emotions and attitude take a downward plunge, you don't look to your own source of rejuvenation? It's very powerful. So that is what he just shared, is that when your phone charges out, what you do? You plug in to charge it. But when your bad attitude happens and your good attitude disappears, you need to look into how you're able to recharge yourself, how you're able to plug yourself in some kind of rejuvenation, re-energize yourself. It's very, very important that every single person needs to have some list of activities that energize us, that brings our attitude up. For me, reading books is one of the best things to energize me. That's what I do. If I have bad attitude, okay, let's take a book, let's read, let's energize myself, or let's have a conversation one-on-one with somebody about deep, meaningful conversation. That energizes me. So what energizes you? What rejuvenates you when you have bad attitude to make sure that you go to good attitude? We all have a reserve of positive memories and emotions that we can tap into during challenge times. The source that I plug into is God. So he mentioned that God is one of the sources that he is able to plug in. But you have memories. Maybe you have faith as well. So what is your things that you're able to plug in to make sure that you're able just to get a little bit energy to really pursue the other things that could allow you to move forward? For some reason, we seem to plug into negative source more often. In sad times, they tend to plug into emotions like regret, helplessness, and sorrow rather than recharging our attitudes with more empowering feelings. It's interesting because a lot of times, including myself, sometimes when I used to see sad, I wanted to really listen even more sad music. It seems that I want to elevate that negativity. Why I sometimes, if I see bad attitude, maybe I just need to do something that energizes me, that elevates my attitude rather than keeps where it is. So I made a lot of bad choices regarding my attitude. And I realized that in that moment that I need to do something about it. And I think that every single person needs to understand that, okay, let's change it, let's improve. Two of the best antidotes to a negative attitude are gratitude and forgiveness. Very beautiful. Attitude and forgiveness. It's gratitude and forgiveness. So gratefulness, appreciation, and forgiveness to others and to yourself. So all it takes is changing one mindset to another. When you stop blaming and criticizing or feeling hurt and angry, you are then free to forgive and love and be grateful and accepting. It's very powerful. So when you stop blaming and criticizing, you're able to, and feel hurt, you're able to free to forgive and love. Be grateful and accepting. Very, very powerful. What others do to you doesn't cause you bad attitude. Your own thoughts and emotions you allow to live within you cause it. It's very, very powerful. Your own thoughts and emotions you allow to live within you cause it. So that means a lot of times when you squeeze lemon, you'll get lemon juice. When you squeeze orange, you will get orange juice. So when you squeeze you, what you get? Do you get bad attitude or do you get good attitude? So that means that what lives within you a lot of times it shows up during bad things. When other people say something bad about you, will show up what is in you. So a lot of times when other person is telling you something bad or something is wrong happening, and you start to feel that within you showing up something bad, something negative, it's okay. I need to change what is within me because I want to have that positivity. So when something bad happens, when other person says bad something about me, I'm able to really show that within me there is a light, not dark, and I'm able to work to improve that. It's important to forgive people. Forgiveness does not require you to maintain a relationship with harmful and hurtful individuals. It's very, very important. Forgiveness does not require you to maintain relationships with harmful and hurtful individuals. If you've been abused physically or emotionally, forgive them in your heart. Forgiveness releases you from the pain and the anger. It allows you to release negative feelings and replace them with the spirit of peace. You can have a loving attitude from the distance. You can have a loving attitude from distance. That means a lot of times when you forgive for that person, forgive from the distance. You don't need to have a relationship with them, but you're able to forgive because you forgive for yourself, not for other person. Because when you forgive, you're able to move on. Self-forgiveness is important too. Some people find difficult to forgive themselves because they are perfectionists. They have set an unrealistic standard. We all need to realize we are not perfect. So it means when you think about forgiving yourself, you made a lot of mistakes. I need to have that compassion and say, I know that you made a mistake, but you are better, you improved, you're a different kind of person, and I forgive you. And I move forward. And she shared that there was one person that then one day she wrote a letter to herself apologizing for her behavior, for keeping people at a distance, and for not loving herself. So you're able to really write a letter for attention for yourself, to forgiving that you didn't love yourself enough. And forgive yourself and move forward and really take action and start loving yourself. Very powerful. Here are other important points to consider when tapping into the power of forgiveness. There is no statute of limitation on forgiveness because negativity allowed to fester, it will affect all aspects of your life. It is a cancer that will grow and spread unless you learn to forgive and release the bitterness and anger. Very powerful. Expect suspicion when you go to forgive. A lot of people will understand what you're doing. So that means you're supposed to expect that other person will not understand immediately that you have made the leap from bitterness to forgiveness. If you have missed your opportunity and the other person is gone, it's still necessary to forgive. Very powerful. So I mean, if a person is not there anymore, it's still very important to forgive and move on. Don't deny, ignore, to try overlook the hurtful memory. So then don't deny, because denying is not healing. Because accepting and healing, that allows you to move forward. Understand that forgiveness may not be mutual. So that means that if you forgive, other person might not forgive for the rest of their lives. But you did your part. You took control and you forgave. That is very, very important. Give yourself permission to love and forgive. And he shared that I know your daddy loves you, but looking back, I don't think his father ever told him. So grandma said to him that his father was not able to say I love you because he never heard those words from his father. So that means, and he shared that sometimes in life when you want something, you have to be willing to take the initiative. When you want love, you need to give love. When you want appreciation, you need to give appreciation. If you want more friends, you have to be a friend. If you want to love, you have to give love. Very powerful. And a few last lessons are that once the blaming stops, you accept responsibility. I think that not wanting to accept responsibility is why so many people hide behind negative attitudes. I could say that I was guilty of as well. Like I really wanted to blame. It's very easy to blame, and it gives you excuse the way out. But when you really take ownership, you understand that you are in control. It doesn't matter what other people did, because even though that they did very hurtful things, But if you really want to move forward in life and you have a great attitude, we want to really make sure that we do not have negative attitude, and blaming is that part of the negative attitude, and take ownership and responsibility. It may be true that someone else is responsible for something that happened to you, but once you identify that person, what purpose does it serve to continue blaming him or her? That's very powerful. So that means that when we identify and we understand that they made a mistake, we have a chance to stop blaming. Let go of the blame, forgive, and take back the responsibility of your life. Tell yourself that you have the power to heal through forgiveness and gratitude. Be accountable. Begin today to forgive those people in your life who have caused you anguish and pain. Very, very powerful. So if we are able to really begin today to forgive those people in your life who have caused you anguish and pain. And that, of course, will build a positive attitude. The last thing that I want to mention from the book that I've read, the quote, remember that your real wealth is measured not by what you have, not by where you are, but by the spirit that lives within you. So I truly believe that there is a massive spirit living in you, because if you had a chance to really listen to all this, that means that you really want to improve. You want to really find a way how you can build that attitude up so you can live the best life possible. So I hope you choose to win, and see you next time.